Hyperdeck Studio Mini and Hyperdeck Studio 2 setup and testing. Right now we'll be testing our Hyperdeck Studio 2 and Hyperdeck Studio Mini together with our Studio TV Studio HD video switcher. But first we need an SSD drive for playback and storage. Right now we're using the SanDisk Extreme SSD. Then we'll put it on slot 1. Then we'll format the drive. To format, you need to go into the settings, then scroll into the SSD, enter, and choose the slot where you put the drive. Then you have two options: either you will use the HFS or the exFAT. Right now I'll be using the exFAT so that it can be recognized by both Mac and Windows computers. So format the SSD. There you go. And then next we will show you the layout of our cabling of all the equipments. To do that, we need to connect all the equipments into the network switcher or router. So here's the layout. Once you do that, we also need to physical cabling of all the equipments for playback. So in this particular setup, all the video outputs of the switcher of the Hyperdecks goes into the video input of the studio switcher. Then we will also do physical cabling for the recording. So for the recording, all a program output of our video switcher will go into the video input of the Hyperdecks. But right now there's only one program output, so we use a splitter so that we can distribute the signal to the video input. So next thing that we will do is to configure the IP address for the Hyperdeck, and we will enter it into the settings of the video switcher. To look for the IP address of the Hyperdeck, just go to Hyperdeck setup, then scroll into the setup settings, then Ethernet, then IP. Here in this particular example, we are using the 192.168.10.108. so that is the same IP address we will enter into this into the setup of the switcher. The same goes with the other Hyperdeck, which is using the 192.168.10.109. So once you enter that one, you just click connect, and once connected, you can see a check mark inside the green circle. Then there you go. enter the IP address and then just click connect, and then you can see the check mark on inside the green circle. The next thing to configure is the video standards of the switcher. This is very important because once you set the video standards, make sure that all the sources that goes into the switcher have the same video standards that is set by the switcher. Right now we're using the 1080i 5994 for this particular setup. And then once it's done, you can check your hyperdeck. It will reflect on the hyperdeck. Now it can record the output of the switcher. 1080i 5994, and same goes with the other hyperdeck. And then for playback, since we do a physical cabling of the hyperdeck into the switcher, you also need to configure that one inside the switcher. So go back to switcher settings, then go back to hyperdeck, and then here in this particular setup, we input the output of the hyperdeck into the input 5 of the switcher here, and input 6 of the switcher. Once this is done, you can see here the two input sources, but right now we just rename the two inputs 5 as D1 and D2, meaning deck 1 and deck 2. So once it's been configured, you can now control the recording of the deck through the switcher. Like this one, I'll click the recording from the switcher, then you can see that the hyperdeck 2 also recording the video output of the switcher. I can also control, like, to stop the recording and play it back. So it's playing back the video, and I can also stop the playback from the switcher. We did a recording, some recording of the hyperdecks, and we found out that not the hyperdeck 2 do not have an H.264 codec support, and also these are the video standards that can be supported by the two hyperdecks. This is a standard that you will enter in the switcher here. So unfortunately, the hyperdeck Studio HD does not support 1080p 50 frames per second and 1080p 5994. So I think we're good to go, and everything is set. and now you can do a live switching or tape as live and record it through your Hyperdeck. Thank you.